चैतन्यं मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मायं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुन् श्रीयुतापदकमलम् श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं त्वं सजीवम् सात्वैतं स्वावधूतं परिजनासाहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा रघुना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा.
Thank you, Shashwini. So we are on text 8. So you can read the text. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Is it okay?
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet. Hare Krishna. Nastapraye Svabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naisiki. Hare Krishna. Sa samhitam bhagavatim kritvanukram yachatmajam sukam adhyapayamasa nivritti niratam muni. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So anyone can read it. Kumarji, you can try the text if possible.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Samkidam Bhagavadim Kritvanukramya Satmajam Sugam Adhyapayamasya Nivritti Niradam Muni. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Kumarji. Hare Krishna, Radhika Kasturi Mataji. So welcome in this forum. And today I am the host because Mataji is not, Kritika Mataji is not available. So we are on text number 8, chapter 7. Now over to you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, Kritika Mataji mentioned that she is going to London. Thank you,
Yes.
Prabhuji. Okay, let's get started. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Nananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Srinivata Swagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hariam Vasudhi Patrani Viduni Sagam Nishta Prayeshu Patreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sriju Bhakti Bhavati Nishtiki. Hare Krishna. All right, so let's get started with our today's class. Hence, Ashwin, a very, very wonderful job of recitation of the verse as well as the prayers. Very, very absorbing, and you didn't take your hands out of your, it was just always folded like this. That was so nice of you. Your bow was so inspiring. Thank you, Ashwin. All right, so let's get started with today's verse. And as we do, we try to recap and see what happened till now. So let's do that, and then we can get started with our today's verse. I was more so going to go through the commentary of, now that we have seen Srila Prabhupada's commentary, I was thinking for these verses that we have done, we can maybe go through the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and understand his perspective of the verses till now. And then we can get started with our 8th verse for today. So I will do that. So the first verse, Shaunaka said, "O Sutta, when Narada departed, what did the powerful Vyasa do? Having heard the advice of Narada," see, Narada Muni has given advice to Vyasadeva, isn't it? So what did Vyasadeva do with that advice? This is the question posed by the Saunakadi Rishis. Now, Sutta is saying, there is a hermitage for sages called Samya Prasha, favorable for many sacrifices, situated on the west bank of Saraswati river, where Brahmanas take shelter. And this is second verse. The third verse states, in this hermitage, surrounded by a grove of badari trees, Vyasa sat down, he performed achaman and began to reflect using his mind. So what did Vyasa began to do? Narada has instructed Vyasa to remember what? The pastimes of the Lord continuously in Samadhi. This is what 1.5.13 said. So based on that instruction, he sat and concentrated using his mind. This was done by Vyasadeva because Narada had instructed to have him remember about the pastimes of the Lord, not just for 1 or 2 minutes, but continuously. And that state of meditation is called Samadhi, where you're continuously meditating about the pastimes of the Lord. It just spontaneously comes to you in the Samadhi. At that time, you're just not distracted by anything other than thinking about the Lord and remembering the Lord. This is definitely very, very advanced. So the fourth verse talks about, in that mind which was undisturbed because it was pure from the performance of bhakti, he saw Lord Krishna complete with all his energies and spiritual expansions. And he also saw Maya, who took shelter behind the Lord. So who did he see? Because he was able to meditate on the Lord continuously due to Samadhi, what was he able to see? He was able to see Lord Krishna. That too with his energies and spiritual expansions. And on top of it, he saw Maya, because he saw Maya who took shelter of him behind the Lord. She was not in front of the Lord, but behind the Lord. This is what Vyasadeva saw. He saw the perfect form of Purusha. Thus, Vyasa saw the Brahman in its full form. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, he says, if a person says he saw the full moon, it means a person saw the moon's fullness with all the phases of the moon. This is what I saw full moon today. That means he was able to see the moon's fullness in all the phases. That is, with all the phases of the moon. That is, everything is included in that full moon, right? But he did not see the external energy Maya, which has opposite qualities. Thus, Maya is mentioned separately with the words Mayamcha. This energy took shelter behind the Lord. And thus, as we can see from the translation, Vyasadeva, what he saw was, he saw the form of Krishna and he saw Maya who took shelter behind the Lord. This is the expert. And then the sixth verse. What did you see from the sixth verse? Vyasa saw Bhakti Yoga to the Lord, which effectively destroys Jiva's samsara. Learned Vyasadeva then wrote Bhagavatam for whom? Ignorant people. Srila Vyasadeva manifested Srimad Bhagavatam on the basis of the vision of the Supreme Lord and his energies. When he sat down to enter into a state of totally concentrated mind, which is samadhi, he was properly qualified in several ways to do this. He was not making a whimsical attempt, but he was following the direct instruction of his spiritual master, who? Narada Muni. His mind was very pure. When he was able to meditate on the pastimes of the Lord continuously, how was his mindset? His mindset was completely pure, amala, and it was free from the attraction of sense enjoyment and material motives. Because if we have material impressions, what happens automatically? Our mind definitely wanders around the sense objects, wanders around that material thoughts. That is because why? That is because we are having material impressions. That is why when we chant, we get all kinds of disturbances in the mind, which leads us to different thoughts. And then we pursue through the thoughts. It's all because of the material impressions. But if you're looking at Vyasadeva, how is he? He's free from the attraction of sense enjoyment. Why? And he's also free from material motives because there is no material impressions in his mind. Its mind is completely purified. This is the understanding, dear devotees. When somebody is able to go into the samadhi state, how is it possible? It is possible only when your material impressions are completely eradicated. In the presence of the material impressions, you are going to hanker upon those thoughts or linger upon those thoughts that are going to, that you are attracted to. It may be anything. It could be your job-related activities that we think of during chanting, or it could be your personal family, that whom you've got attraction to. It could be anything. Right? That's all because of the material impressions. And stronger the impressions that we have, deeper are the samskaras and deeper are the effects that are associated with it. So this is the phenomena. He entered into in a mood of unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Lord. That is Bhakti Yoga, unalloyed devotion. There is no expectation. I need this from you. I need that from you. I want to have a car. I want to have a big bungalow. I want this. I want that. I want to settle in my job. No, I don't have, this unalloyed devotee of the Lord doesn't have any motivation towards the Lord. This is Bhakti Yoga. Nya abhilashita sunyam jnana karmadi anavritam. Whatever is an anukulya and anukulya, there is this favorableness towards the Lord, and pratikulya, there is unfavorableness, you give it up, and favorableness, you take it up. Whatever is favorable towards Krishna, you take up that activity. Whatever is unfavorable, you give it up. And there is unalloyed, unmotivated bhakti towards the Lord. Thus prepared, he was able to see the absolute truth directly into his heart. And then he was able to record his vision in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can all see how Srimad Bhagavatam came about, because Vyasadeva went into trance and he was able to see the pastimes of the Lord in trance. And this revelation happened to Srila Vyasadeva. And this is what is Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can understand how potent is this literature, how potent is the subject matter, whom are we getting it from? And how are we getting it from? It is no ordinary. We cannot take this Srimad Bhagavatam cheap. This is what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura is trying to prove, help us understand, because he clearly makes up a point in his commentary to the 6th verse. He says he's not making a whimsical attempt, but he was following his direct instruction of the spiritual master. We have to definitely see, dear devotees, how our parampara has been very, very very, very great in terms of following the orders of the spiritual master. And that is when a disciple is able to progress. Aren't we seeing this with Srila Prabhupada? Aren't we seeing it in case of Narada Muni and Vyasadev? How Vyasadev, oh, you know what, Narada Muni, you have told me I have not done anything. But you know, so many things I have done. You are not appreciating me for what I'm doing, but you are just depreciating all of my work. I'm not feeling good about it. So like this, a disciple can get angry with the spiritual master and walk out. And what will happen to such a devotee? It is going to be a direct fall down for him. Because the spiritual master always says something for the benefit of a devotee. Whatever instruction comes from his lotus mouth, they are all meant for our purification. And hence, the of our spiritual master should be our life and soul. We have to sincerely try our best to focus on what our spiritual master wants from us. When we have the attachment towards our spiritual master, we will be able to do impossible possible because of that attachment. So hence, the attachment is what is going to drive us towards the goal. Because this pleases my spiritual master, I'm going to do it. He's a living guru, isn't it? So we can definitely understand what his likes and wants are from us and accordingly fulfill them to the fullest extent possible. In certain cases, of course, a disciple will not have a direct relationship with the spiritual master. In that case, a disciple must, of course, listen to his Vani, and all those instructions that we have through his Vani are instructions for all of us. So whenever we try to take the instructions of our spiritual master seriously, that is the definitely that is going to help us with our advancement in spirituality. So this is very important, dear devotees. A very important principle is taught to us through the 6th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th chapter. Now, looking at the commentary, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura, he says, he also saw the medicine for the disease. Whom did he see? He saw Maya in the back, isn't it? So definitely we need a medicine for that disease. So he saw Bhakti Yoga is the one that can destroy material existence. So this is what he said. And then he says, first he saw the Lord, that is our Vyasadev, he saw the Lord. And then Vyasa saw the Lord with his Amsa, with his Amshas, the Purusha and the Guna Avataras. Of course, Krishna has everything included in him. Without his Amsas, how can the Lord be considered complete? Purna means complete. Thus, Vyasa saw his complete form of the Lord. This is very important. He saw the complete form of the Lord. He was able to get that revelation of the Lord that was so complete, the Bhagavan aspect of the Lord. He saw in the Lord Bhakti. And what is Bhakti? A very important point is made by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura. He says, Bhakti is the chief element of Chit Shakti. We have Satchitanand, right? Chit Shakti is Bhakti. It is more powerful than all others, which can destroy the illusion caused by Maya. What can destroy Maya? This Bhakti only can destroy Maya. And because why? It is the chief element of Chit Shakti. That is the reason why it can destroy the illusion of Maya. And having seen all this, Vyasa, he wrote the Vaishnava scripture called Srimad Bhagavatam, which reveals all of this for the ignorant people. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is the one which has revealed, which is going to reveal everything. Specifically, this is catered for ignorant people. And this is what is quoted in the 6th verse. And what is going to destroy your illusion? Bhakti is the element that is going to destroy your illusion. Why? Because it is the chief element of Lord Chit Shakti, which is the internal potency of the Lord. And hence, it is because the Bhakti is the internal potency of the Lord, it can destroy the illusion caused by Maya due to the external potency of the Lord. So this is the relevance. And then moving on to the 7th verse, what is he saying? By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti for the Supreme Lord, Krishna appears. Hearing, it also destroys lamentation, illusion, and fear in the human being. So how important is this process of hearing is being quoted in the 7th verse of the 7th chapter. Very important, because without hearing, what is going to happen to us? Hearing can make, say for example, as we are sleeping, and in the sleep, some fire, some alarm or something, a fire something is happening because of which you get an alarm signaling, alarm signal, and because of which you wake up, isn't it? So hearing has that potency. It can just wake you up from a deep slumber as well. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, it can wake all of us up. We are all in illusion, isn't it? We think right for wrong and wrong for right. Yes, this is right, but that could be wrong too. Because what are we trying to use? We are trying to use our so-called brain, which has some impressions from the past, and based on that, we have a learning, and there is this, because of that learning, we are just going in a path based on whatever intelligence that we have developed through years or through the past samskaras. This is what is driving us actually. So it can be right, it cannot be right. If it is purely based on Shabda, then it's right. That is when our mind is purified. Till the time our mind and intelligence are purified, we cannot trust our mind. Very important point. Till the time our mind and intelligence is purified, how can it be purified? Intelligence can be purified by the study of scriptures, isn't it? So when the intelligence is purified by the study of scriptures, the intelligence drives the mind in the right direction. Yes, this is where you need to head to. This is what your guru is saying. This is the correct thing. This is what you need to abide by. The intelligence is directing the mind. Now what happens is our mind is directing the intelligence. You come my way. My way is my way. My way is the right way. Like that, it's guiding us in the wrong direction. The impure mind is driving the intelligence, so which is wrong. And hence we have to keep purifying our intelligence through the hearing process on and on and on. Shabda has to be heard again and again and again. That is when it gets registered in the heart. Okay, so by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, bhakti for the Supreme Lord Krishna appears. Hearing also destroys what? Lamentation, illusion, and fear. Now commentary. What does it say? This verse shows that Bhagavatam produces prema. Simply by hearing it, prema arises. What to speak of the greater effect if one engages others in hearing it? Oh yeah, come. There are a few people who are sincere and they want to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. If you bring 4 or 5 people in, spread this message of Bhagavatam class to many people, then what is the benefit of you bringing them into this hearing of Bhagavatam? Simply hearing you can get prema, but what is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur saying here? What to speak then of the greater effect if one engages others in hearing it? And what greater effect speaking it must have? So see, he's giving us the order of hierarchy. So first we have to hear. Greater than that is you have to engage others also in the process of hearing it. And greater than that is the effect of speaking Bhagavatam. And what even the greater effect will be engaging others in speaking about Srimad Bhagavatam. You can also train others to speak Srimad Bhagavatam, isn't it? This is Amala Puran. These are the effects of if one hears sincerely, then what happens is by hearing it, prema can arise in our heart. This is the benediction that our acharyas are giving us. Bhakti here means prema. Because it has been said that he says, Ishvara Sadhyo Hridya Varudyate Kritipi. The Supreme Lord becomes immediately captured in the heart of accomplished devotees by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And even those who have suddenly developed a desire to hear it. So accomplished readers, what happens to them? Accomplished hearers, accomplished people means perfected people. What happens to them by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? Lord is immediately captured in their heart. They are able to feel the presence of the Lord in the heart. But what happens to others who are sadhakas like us? Oh, they also have an opportunity to gradually develop this desire to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And gradually through this process of hearing, they also will be able to capture the Lord in their heart. This is what will happen to them. Ishvara Sadhyo Hridya Varudyate Kritipi. This is what 1.1.2 says. And because the Lord is captured in the heart, as a result of what? As a result of sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is what we all perform, isn't it? We follow the 4 rigs. We follow the vows that we follow the vows very strictly. Chant our rounds, 16 rounds minimum. These are all the rules, that minimum rules that is expected of a devotee. And when we do this, and when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, by this process of sadhana bhakti, this Lord, he can be captured into our heart. And as a result, there's going to be destruction of samsara. Of course, this is a very unsought result. This is not what we are looking for. We are looking to establish a relationship with the Lord. But what comes as a byproduct is the destruction of the samsara, the birth, death, old age, and all these things. They are not going to bind you anymore. You are not going to be bound in this material world anymore. Nevertheless, the devotee can also achieve this. And here a very important point is brought out, is that the word utpadyate literally means this prema. Utpadyate means it is generated, okay? But then here it is translated as it becomes manifest. That is, this prema bhakti, it cannot be generated, okay? Because it is the internal potency of the Lord. Therefore, it actually manifests within the heart of a devotee by the blessings of the Lord and his pure devotee. So this is internal potency of the Lord, which means Krishna has to give it to us. So this prema bhakti can't come to a devotee. It cannot be generated. So that is why it is often said that this prema is there in the heart of a devotee. It is there. It is already there. So all we have to do is keep performing the sadhana bhakti, which is going to obviously aid in what? Aid in not the generation of prema bhakti, but the prema bhakti becomes manifest in the heart of a devotee by the blessings of the Lord. Because it's the internal potency of the Lord has to actually give mercy to you for getting prema. Lord and his pure devotees, they are the ones who can bless you. And because of the blessings, that is when you will be able to get prema. This is what is a commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura. He says, this prema bhakti cannot be generated, but it has to be manifest within the heart of a devotee by the blessings of who? By the blessings of the Lord and his pure devotees. And for us to get that mercy, sadhana bhakti is needed. Without the endeavor, how will the mercy come? What will you be judged upon? If you're not showing love to Krishna, how will Krishna be able to give mercy to you? Or his pure devotees be able to give mercy to you? So that is when an endeavor is required. So no matter how much our endeavor we put, nothing is in our hands. This, speaking of Srimad Bhagavatam, is not in my control. It is Krishna who's performing this act. He has to bless me. The Guru Vargas have to bless me. And the pure devotees of the Lord have to bless me. Otherwise, I will not be able to perform this act of delivering the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is not in our hands. Bhakti is the internal potency of the Lord, and that has to be given by the Lord. For that, we have to do sadhana bhakti. Without sadhana bhakti, how are we going to express our love to Krishna? So Krishna has to look at our love. And that is why in anything, whatever we do, we can't expect results. So yeah, Krishna, I did so much rounds of chanting. You have to give this to me. You have to give that to me. No, he's independent. He will see what is your intention. He will see how much you love him. He will see what are some of the things that you are doing for him. Even though when things are not in control, you still try to remember him. How much time do you do that? All this Krishna will take into account. Right? Each one has a different life situation. And depending upon that life situation, we act in a particular way. But is it anukul to bhakti? Is it pratikul to bhakti? This is something Krishna just watches out for us. When the two birds are on the tree, one bird is just eating the fruits, another bird is watching. When will this person turn towards me? When will this person turn towards me and see me and come to me? That is how Krishna is eagerly waiting for all of us to turn towards him, to show our love towards him. But we are always trying to turn away from him, isn't it? We are just so spontaneously attracted to sense gratification. And we have to put a conscious endeavor to get to Krishna consciousness. So this is what is our scenario, and we have to sincerely pray to the Lord that all these activities that I am doing, everything has to be geared towards you, Krishna. Everything has to be geared towards the remembrance of you, nothing but remembrance of you. This is what a devotee should plead from the bottom of his heart to engage in this devotional act. All right. So this is till verse number 7. We have seen the commentary of who? Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura. I thought since you have gone through the commentary of Srila Prabhupada, I just thought of introducing this commentary by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura. So it was such a blissful reading with all of you. So now going the 8th verse. The 8th verse, it's saying, having already made the Bhagavatam, the sage Vyasa revised it and taught it to the son Sukadev Goswami, who had realized Brahman. Okay, so now the commentary says like this: because he had realized the superiority of Prema, his goal over realization of the bliss of Brahman, he taught Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadev Goswami so that he could understand the superiority of the bliss of Prema. Now, Vyasadeva, what is going on with him? Of course, he has recognized the superiority of Prema, and he has come to a conclusion that this is the highest goal a person can receive. It is not Brahman realization, it is not Paramatma realization. All these are incomplete. He has come to that understanding. And that is why, see, even though we have Sukadev Goswami, he is a realized Brahman, he has realized Brahman. But Vyasadeva understood the superiority of his goal, and that is why he taught Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadev Goswami. Okay, so this is the point that Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura is able to convey to us. He is able to see the superiority of the bliss of Prema, and that is why he imparted this knowledge to his son Sukadev Goswami. So in this world, if the father has experienced something blissful, he just brings about in the commentary to say, if a father has experienced something blissful, he will attempt to have his son experience this also. That is explained in this verse. Aren't we all eager to have our kids learn this aspect of Krishna consciousness, be involved in this process of Krishna consciousness, have a very, very nice life in Krishna consciousness? Aren't we all eager to get our sons or daughters be engaged in this movement? Because we understood this movement is blissful. This movement is where I feel secure. This movement is where I feel protected. This movement gives me, it helps me to lose fear of illusion. It helps me, it helps me with so many things. You are able to understand slowly, right? I mean, over a period of time, you are able to see the change in you. This method is working. This process of Krishna consciousness is working. Aren't you able to see the transformation that has happened in you? And because of this change of transformation in you, you want to impart this knowledge to your kids, isn't it? This is the point that Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura is trying to help us understand. Now, because we have Vyasadeva, he has understood the superiority and bliss of Prema. He wants to impart this knowledge to his son, Sukadev Goswami. As a parent, we want our kids to be, to get the best. And the best is Krishna consciousness. Nothing more in this world is valuable than getting Krishna, isn't it? If he gets Krishna, then his life is secure. This is why a parent wants his child to be Krishna conscious. But again, as we talked about Sukriti, we all know a person must have Sukriti. Till the time a person is not going to get into Krishna consciousness. Even though you can try. So that is why what we have to do is, in that intermediate state, we have to give them good association. We just have to be favorable with them. As much as possible, we just try to give love to them. And through that process, slowly, they will definitely come to Krishna consciousness with a period of time. Okay? So because this cannot be forced. Love cannot be forced, isn't it? We cannot force somebody to love you. This is not possible. So hence, patience is required. Okay? So first, Vyasadeva, coming back to the commentary, what is being talked about here? First, Vyasadeva had made an abbreviated scripture about bhakti, but on the advice of Narada, he purified it and giving it most prominence to bhakti, to Krishna. So even though he has written many scriptures in the past, now since Narada Muni has instructed him, he gave us the most prominent scripture of Srimad Bhagavatam because of this instruction. Narada gave his instructions after the disappearance of Krishna, because at that time itself there was a tendency towards irreligion, because after the disappearance of Krishna, this world was getting in a very chaotic state where there was irreligion spread, isn't it? And all the and the adherents of scriptures, they were not followed. And then the power of Kali manifested even at the beginning of his control. Because of all this, Vyasa was dissatisfied in his heart, because people were so irreligious and people were controlled by the, it is said that the Kali manifested its power at the beginning of his control. So because of all this, Vyasadev's heart was dissatisfied. So now, Narada Muni, he said to Vyasadeva, we all know from 1.5.15, he said, what did he say? You have created a great disturbance by teaching what is condemned to people, attached to material enjoyment. In order to make them accept dharma, you gave them, oh, you follow this Karma Kandya scripture, you can enjoy. But again, Vyasadev's motive was that these people will eventually detach themselves slowly. But instead of getting themselves detached, they were entangled more and more. This was happening. This is what was happening on the contrary. So here, that is why he's saying, you have created a great disturbance by teaching what is condemned to people attached to material enjoyment in order to make them accept dharma. Thinking that what you have taught is real dharma, they don't consider giving it up. Because you know what, I'm engaging in the sense gratification because Vyasadeva said so. I'm engaging in this act because Vyasadeva said so. They're not able to give it up. See, Vyasadev's motive was that slowly they will detach themselves from this act of sense gratification, which was the intent. But instead of giving it up, they just took the essence. They just took the thing of, oh yeah, you can enjoy, and they didn't go to the next part of detaching themselves. And hence, Narada Muni, he said, yeah, this is why you need to create a scripture which is going to talk about completely about the glories of the holy name, glories of the pastimes of the Lord. And that way, what is going to happen is that slowly their heart is going to get purified. Because why? Because bhakti is the internal potency of the Lord. And this internal potency of the Lord is capable of purifying your heart. Why? Because it's a chit shakti of the Lord. Internal potency can only free you from illusion, which is due to the external potency of the Lord. So this is the explanation that is given through the purport of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura. So we kind of saw all the purports till now for all the 8 verses of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura. Now, I want to get into the special segment of helping us understand Srila Prabhupada's Srila Prabhupada's purport. Specifically, he talks about Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary of Brahma Sutras compiled by the same author. The Brahma Sutra or the Vedanta Sutra is meant for those who are already engaged in self-realization. Srimad Bhagavatam is also made that one becomes at once engaged in the path of self-realization simply by hearing the topics. And it's also said that although it is especially meant for Paramahamsas or those who are into process of self-realization, it works in the deep depths of hearts of those who are worldly men as well. This is the point that I want to talk about in today's class by giving various references from Srimad Bhagavatam to help us understand that this Srimad Bhagavatam is not only for Paramahamsas. No, it is not only for Paramahamsas. It is also for whom? It is also for worldly people. So let's understand from Srimad Bhagavatam the various quotations of various people who are speaking about the subject matter. How so it is meant for worldly people? And what happens to these Paramahamsas who actually are able to relish Srimad Bhagavatam? So let's get into that segment and understand this particular point that Srila Prabhupada is trying to teach us. Are you all okay so far? with the commentary, and then so can we move on to this segment, Parth Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
continue.
All right. So this is a very important segment, dear devotees, because we should not think, oh yeah, this Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for Paramahamsas, only they can understand. What happens to people who are materialistic, who have materialistic tendencies, who may be sadhakas, but who are not purified yet? What's the state of those people who are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? So now let's understand that. As we saw just a few verses before, 1.7.6. What does that verse say? So anartho pashamam shakshat bhakti yogam adokshache lokas yajananto vidvamse chakre satvata samhitam. So here Vyasadeva, what did he see? He saw bhakti yoga to the Lord. Sakshat bhakti yogam adokshache. That means he saw bhakti yoga to the Lord. What does this bhakti yoga do? Anartho pashamam. So anartho pashamam means, what does this bhakti yoga do? It is capable of destroying what? It is capable of destroying the jiva samsara. Samsara means what? Samsara means this birth, death, old age and disease. Anartho pashamam shakshat bhakti yogam adokshaje. Lokas yajananto vidvamse. So the learned, the vidwan means, Prabhupada translates it as learned Vyasa. What did he write then? He wrote Srimad Bhagavatam Chakre Satvata Samhitam. What did he write? He wrote Bhagavatam for whom? Ajananto Lokasya. For ignorant people. This is very important, dear devotees. So 1.7.6 directly helps us understand the point that this Srimad Bhagavatam is written for whom? It is written for ignorant people. Anartha pashamom shakshat bhakti yoga adokshaje lokas yajananto vidvamse chakre shashvata samhitam. So this Vyasadeva was able to see, yes, these people, look at these people, they are all identifying themselves with their body and mind. Oh my God, they are put into such a bewilderment because they identified themselves with a body and mind. They are not able to think right. They are completely in illusion. That is why they are, going on repeating the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. They are bound by karma. They are completely suffering all the time. So I'm going to write a scripture that is actually going to help them, help these ignorant people. This is what I'm going to do. This is the first verse which gives us a proof that this Srimad Bhagavatam is for ignorant people also. Next. So next verse. Yashvanubhavam akila shrutisaaramekam adhyatmadipam atitir satam tamondam samsarinam karunaya purana guhyam tam vyasa sunumupayami gurum muninam. Excuse my tune. I'm not so proficient with the tunes or the meters. But the point here is that what is Srila Prabhupada trying to say? This is spoken by Sukadeva Goswami. Okay, what is he saying through this verse? So he's saying, I surrender to the son of Vyasa. Okay, the purpose of Sukadeva Goswami speaking Bhagavatam. What is the purpose of Sukadeva Goswami speaking Bhagavatam? We need to understand, isn't it? What is the motive? Why is this person Sukadeva Goswami giving all these speaking? Why is Srila Sukadeva Goswami speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to who? Parikshit Maharaj. What is the reason? Can we understand the intent? And here the intent is very much quoted. It says, I surrender to the son of Vyasa, the incomparable guru of all sages, who mercifully spoke the Purana full of hidden meanings. See, that is why it's very important. Srimad Bhagavatam has a lot of hidden meanings. So a person who is reading Srimad Bhagavatam just by the glance of it will not be able to understand what is the intent, what is the essence of this message. That is why we need Acharya's purport, which helps us understand what is the intended message. No, I may know grammar, I may know Sanskrit, I may know all those things, I may be scholarly, but you cannot understand the intent unless our acharyas give us, okay, this is what is the intention of the speaker, this is what is the essence of the topic. will not be able to decipher the topic. And whom is this compassion? See, he's saying this Purana is full of hidden meanings. Karunaya Purana Guhyam. What does this Karunaya means? It's full of compassion, isn't it? And who is this compassion directed to? That is what we're going to see. This is the Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all scriptures, the essence of hearing. Akila Shrutisara Mekam. This is the essence for all the people of this world, even in the future. And he mercifully spoke this Purana full of hidden meanings. Why? For whom? For Samsarina. He spoke this Srimad Bhagavatam to Samsarina, which actually reveals the rasa to Sukadev. That means what is the rasa? Sukadev Goswami, he was able to understand the essence of the scripture, and this rasa was understood and realized by Sukadev Goswami, who presented the scripture to Samsarina. Samsarina is the people of this world and even in the future. That means the materialistic people, Samsarina, they are bound in the samsara. This is the intention why Sukadev Goswami is actually speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj is for Samsarina. Samsarina means for all these people who are in this material world, even in the future, who are going to come. For them, the Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken. Because this word, very important word that Srila Prabhupada, has quoted down in his meaning, Karunaya, isn't it? Karunaya means compassion. Do you think Paramahamsas need compassion? They're already perfected jivas. So who needs compassion? The materialistic people are those who need compassion, isn't it? So that word Karunaya is very important. Here, in this particular line, Karunaya Purana Guhyam Tam. Samsarinam Karunayaha Purana Guhyam Tam. So we have Karunaya. So there is compassion. That word compassion is meant for Samsarinam. Samsarinam are those people who live in this world. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is written for them. Okay, so that is why it's important to understand the purport that Srila Prabhupada has given. It is just not for the Paramahamsas, it is meant for people of this materialistic world also. And this Sukadev Goswami, he has realized the essence of rasa, excellence of rasa. And thus he was able to deliver. By speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, he was helping people who are desiring to cross the dense ignorance with ease. They're all desiring. They have not yet crossed the dense ocean of ignorance. No, they are desiring. So Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken to help them, help those desirers who are very, very anxiously desiring to cross the dense ignorance, ocean of dense ignorance. Of course, they want to cross, but for that, they need a bridge. And this bridge is Srimad Bhagavatam. These people, these samsari people, they are beaten left, right, center. And Srimad Bhagavatam is a way to cross this dense ignorance. And they don't know why they are beaten for. Because they are ignorant. And that is why compassion has to be shown to them. Sukadev Goswami was not just repeating the words of his father. He was repeating it with realization. There is a very big difference, isn't it? We can just repeat our words of the acharyas. And sometimes we as sadhakas, we may not realize certain things. When I speak in the forum, I may not be able to have realized knowledge of all the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, isn't it? But what happens through the speaking of Bhagavatam is that realization will happen eventually, gradually. Since we are speaking the words of the acharyas. So this when we speak Bhagavatam, when we tell others about Srimad Bhagavatam, what happens is purification of heart. When we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, we saw the effect, isn't it? First you hear, then you bring other people to hear, then speak, then make others also speak Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the gradation we saw. So definitely it has a purifying effect on our heart. Krishna will see the intention. What is this girl intending to do? She is speaking Bhagavatam. Is she trying to want something out of this? Or she has any motives? What is the want? What is the ask? Definitely that intention is being looked upon by the super soul within our heart. So we have to definitely be clear about our intentions. And the point that I wanted to say here is that what is the purpose of Sukadev Goswami speaking Srimad Bhagavatam? It is to bridge the gap for those people who are samsarinas, who are samsarinams, who are stuck in this birth, death, old age, and disease cycle. They have to cross. the dense ocean of ignorance. How can they cross? That is by the realization of Sukadev Goswami, who spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. This is the point. Now, there's so many verses helping us understand what is the intent. It is just not the target audience, it's just not Paramahamsas, but it's also materialistic people. So now Maitreya also spoke Bhagavatam, isn't it? So here in this third canto, we are seeing this verse. Soham nrinam shulla shukaya dukkam mahat katanam viramaya tasya pravrittaye bhagavatam puranam yadaha sakshat bhagavan rishibhiyaha. So it says, I explain this Bhagavata Purana. Aham pravritya bhagavatam puranam. I means Maitreya. I explain this Bhagavatam spoken by the Lord to the sages. For what? For actually removing the suffering of persons. Nirnam dukkam viramaya. So these people who are suffering, why are they suffering too? Because they have been put through, they have fallen into this deep, great distress. Mahat gatanam dukkam. They are very much into deep distress. Because why they are into deep distress, you may ask, isn't it? Because they are shulla shukaya. They are actually seeking insignificant happiness. Shulla shukaya. That is what Srila Prabhupada translates. Very insignificant happiness they are after. And that is why they are put into deep distress. And I'm speaking this Bhagavatam, which are spoken by the Lord to the sages. Why? Because I want to remove the suffering of these persons. Who are these persons? They are put into deep distress. Why? Because they are seeking insignificant happiness. Shulla shukaya, shulla shukaya. These are the people whom I want to target. So Bhagavatam, as we can see, who's the target audience here? People who are seeking insignificant happiness. This is the target people, sadhakas, isn't it? Sadhakas, sometimes they are being conditioned. Because of our conditioning, we go after material sense enjoyment. Even though we know theoretically this is shulla shukaya. But still, because of our conditioning, we want to enjoy. So, because they want to get the insignificant happiness, they are paying a deep. They are actually paying a big amount in terms of distress. Yes, if you want this happiness, here you go. Here is a check for distress. That's what happens. All right. So this is another verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. And then we know 1.5.16. That verse also talks about the fact, Narada Muni's instruction to Vyasadeva about compiling Bhagavatam. So here it says the wise person, the Vichakshanas, they give up material happiness and they can realize the happiness of the Lord who's beyond measure. And then they can be taken to the path of bhakti. How? Because they can act as example for others. So these pastimes of the Lord are described for those materialistic people who are actually pushed by the gunas of material nature. So there are people. Take my phone. Yeah. I'm so sorry, dear devotee. Take the phone. Okay. So sorry, dear devotees. So what I was telling was basically, we all know Narada Muni criticized Vyasadeva for actually speaking just about Karma Kandiya scriptures and not giving importance to bhakti. But and he very much stresses the importance of the speaking of bhakti, because this is going to help them understand the pastimes of the Lord. And these materialistic people, they are actually pushed by the gunas of matter. And for them, this is very much needed. And that is why Narada Muni's instruction to Vyasadeva was that you need to compile Srimad Bhagavatam, just 1.5.16. So we can definitely see that this Srimad Bhagavatam is not only for the Paramahamsas, but it is also for the sadhakas, for the materialistic people, for people of all kinds, which is what I want to stress. And finally, you may have this question, why, what are the two reasons? Why is Paramahamsa Samhita? Why is it called Paramahamsa Samhita? For that, 1.6.34 gives us an answer. This is also Narada Muni's instruction to Vyasadeva. I'm not going into the verse, but then the point here is that anyone who takes the shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, they are going to become a Paramahamsa. So we are all going to eventually become Paramahamsas. Only Paramahamsas. Why? What is the point? I mean, what is the point of Paramahamsas actually hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? They've already perfected now. Why should they hear? Because we need to understand the bhakti is the moment where the sadhana and the sadhya remains the same. Sadhana means what? What you do to get to the goal. And what is the goal? The sadhana and the sadhya are the same. 9 limbs, that is what you do in sadhana. And the sadhya also you carry out the same limbs. And the Paramahamsas, they can perfectly relish it. Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he heard, Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kutam. And what happened to him? All the Ashtashatvika Vikaras came to him. This is the real effect Paramahamsa can have. As soon as we hear one word of Srimad Bhagavatam, this effect can happen. That person is a healthy person. That person can have that experience. So we are all going in that route to become Paramahamsas eventually. And we need to take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'm really, really sorry. There are so many more verses to quote to this point, but I'll just stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji, for your nice and wonderful class. It's really very, very deeply thinking about what is the intent of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. It is both the equal importance to the Paramahamsas who is liberated, also as well as the world people who have no idea, who is so much busy entangled in the material world, how it is so valuable and so important, so that in the mature stage of Vyasadeva, he wrote this one, Srimad Bhagavatam, and after that he not written anything. So that is the ripened fruit, and that is the mature product of Srimad Bhagavatam by the Vyasadeva. Thank you very much, Mataji, for the nice class. We open this forum for the question answer and any suggestion. I request the devotees, please unmute, you can ask the questions. Hare Krishna. Any question, Prabhu? Any suggestion?
No.
At least 1 or 2 questions supposed to become, because it's very nicely Mataji giving the quotation about the different text of the Bhagavatam, how it is so important for everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful session for giving a. Thank you so much for giving a wonderful recap of what we read and from other commentaries also. Thank you. And I have a couple of questions. My first question is, in the purport, there is it's written as Nivritti Marga and Pravritti Marga. Can you please elaborate on that, Hare Krishna?
Yes. So if you look into the purport, it talks about Pravritti Marg and Nivritti Marg. So the path of Pravritti Marg is condemned. That is what is condemned. So the Pravritti Marg means the immediate, whatever you want in terms of sense gratification, you want to immediately fulfill and keep that as a goal. So that is what is Pravritti Marg. And Nivritti Marg is the path of leading to the final goal of having a constitutional position be established. This is such a long-term goal. And this is Nivritti Marg. The Srimad Bhagavatam actually recommends following the Nivritti Marg, but condemns following the Pravritti Marg, which is the immediate goals that you may want to have. Immediate goals, the short goals that could come out of your sense gratificatory desires, which is definitely condemned by Narada Muni. Lakshmi Mataji?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. That clarifies. And one more question from my end. So we have 9 principles of like process for bhakti, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasam. We have all those. So
Yes.
is this an hierarchy? Because you said that here engage, then speak the glories, then make others also speak the glories of Bhagavatam. So this is the different levels that you said. So similarly, Shravanam Kirtanam is also different levels, or is it everything goes parallel? Or
everything goes parallel with no. This was the gradation that Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura was talking in his commentary. See, he was just saying the mere fact of you hearing Srimad Bhagavatam can produce prema. Then what about a person who not only hears but also brings others to the process of hearing? And what about that person who can speak Bhagavatam? Oh, what about the person who actually can make others speak Bhagavatam? Imagine the effects that this Bhagavatam can produce. If hearing can produce prema, imagine the effects of others who can actually do all these different things. This is what was the point that Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura was trying to convey through his purport. And that is just in terms of understanding how glorious is Srimad Bhagavatam, what all effects can produce. You know, this prema, there are so many gradations in prema itself, right? I mean, that's so deep and it's beyond our level to understand. Even to understand prema, it's difficult. To understand the gradations above prema, it's very, very difficult. So all that, the symptoms that a person can have beyond prema is something that, we can't. Chaitanya Charitamrita, it clearly describes the stages, but of course, it's just theoretical for us at this stage. But obviously, a person can get beyond prema as well. And with regards to the 9 process of devotional service, everything can happen parallelly, Mataji. We can hear, we can perform deity worship, we can do kirtan. So many things can be done parallelly. There is no gradation. And as we progress through this path, eventually it should lead to smaranam, where we are able to continuously remember about the glories of the Lord all the time, which is what it will culminate in. But then we keep on hearing. Again, it is all conscious at this point in time. After some time, it will become spontaneous. That is when Raganuga comes into play. But yeah, for a sadhaka, we will have to go by Vaidhi. And Vaidhi will slowly transcend to Raganuga as well.
Wonderfully said, Mataji. Thank you so much. I have one more doubt. But we have one person for one process of bhakti, right? Like Shravanam means Parikshit Maharaj, and Dasyam means like Hanuman, Sakyam means Arjuna. So Vishnu or Smaranam, usually they say Prahlad, but Prahlad also, when he was in Kayadu's womb, he was listening, he was doing Shravanam, right? So 2 bhaktis he would be quoted, right? And Ambarish Maharaj, he would have done all the 9. That's what I heard. So, one can engage in multiple as well as in parallel. And as we grow, we will be in everything. Is that understanding of mine right?
So the examples are, the process of bhakti is such that the one actually leads to another. Smaranam will give us absorption in chanting. Smaranam can eventually culminate in remembrance of the Lord. It can help us with smaranam. So each limb of the Lord, each limb of this devotional service is going to help us aid in the other limbs of devotional service as well. So if you look at the devotees who have been given as examples in Srimad Bhagavatam for certain things, Prahlad for smaranam. If you are going to quote Prahlad for smaranam, he also heard na, so that means he has to be quoted for both hearing and smaranam na. No, what is he prominent? What is the prominent limb that he's taking up? The prominent limb that he is taking up is smaranam. So because this Prahlad, he was actually thrown from the mountain cliff. He was put in front. He was actually put in between the snakes. He was actually, given poison. So many atrocities were done to this Prahlad. But all the time, what was he doing? He was completely remembering the Lord. Nothing disturbed him. Nothing bothered him. Nothing hindered him to remember Krishna. All these things actually aided him to help in remembrance of Krishna. So this actually glorifies the smaranam. Prahlad glorified smaranam through his remembrance. And this is the prominent limb that he has. He may be doing other limbs as well. He may, of course, be singing the glories of the Lord. Of course, he could do that. He would also be hearing, as you said, from Kayadu's womb. Of course, he did that. But what is the prominent limb? The prominent limb is smaranam. And every devotee, he actually, every one limb actually would help in other limb. The deity worship will help us to get attachment towards the Lord. This can help us do chanting better. It can actually help us understand the glories of the pastimes of the Lord better. So each limb is going to help with the performance of the other limbs. This is the understanding for a devotee. And what is the prominent limb? The prominent limb is shown in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, Prahlad is for this. This and this Smaranam is Parikshit Maharaj, like that. Sorry, hearing is Parikshit Maharaj, like that. Are you able to understand, Mataji?
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much for clarifying. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is there any other questions or any comment, please? Maybe there is nothing because all are exhausted. You are a very nice, wonderful class. It is talking about how the importance of hearing. It's talking the two words. How the importance of a hearing of a Srimad Bhagavatam. So, like in the next verses, last verses, text number 7, also telling Bhakti Rutpadyate Pungsha, Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. It is by the simply by hearing, we're supposed to be Bhakti Utpadyate, like Mata is telling, it is just a manifested and not generating, because it is within our heart. Krishna is within the heart, and it is just a sprout of, and Shoka Moha Bhayapaha, and all the lamentation, ignorance, fearfulness, that is all gone. And also importance of the hearing, so that Srimad Bhagavatam, what is the best thing in the world we're supposed to give to our children? Like Sukdev Goswami also taken this one by his father, Vyasadeva, because it was the most important things or important jewels in this world. So thank you very much, Mataji, for your nice and wonderful class. I requested all the devotees, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji. Please join.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
Her Grace
Her
Radhika
Grace
Kasturi
Radhika Kasturi
Mataji.
Mataji.
Jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.